why I believe, and as I said, the whole board believes, we found the right person to lead Lilium into this new phase. And of course, we must not lose the momentum on innovation. That's why I'm delighted, and we all at the board are delighted that Daniel was very active on the one hand in helping us to find the right CEO to lead the company going forward, and at the same time stay on our board, and will continue to spearhead our activities on new technologies, products, innovation in his new role as Chief Engineer for Innovation and Future Programs. I stop here, and if I may, Daniel, hand over to you, and I'm sure you can explain a little better of what your important new role at Lilium will be. Daniel.
Thank you, Tom. Lilium was founded with an important mission: to revolutionize regional aviation by making it entirely sustainable and more accessible than it is today. Fulfilling this mission requires the brightest minds in aerospace and technology to come together and deliver numerous innovations. Lilium has proven its capacity for radical solutions like no other player in our sector. We have successfully designed and tested an entirely novel, fully electric vertical takeoff and landing jet with many underlying innovations in engines, batteries, flight physics, and software control. These innovations are the fundament for any electric jet platform, from electric business jets and regional electric airliners to eVTOL jets and personal electric aircraft. We want to leverage this unique position of Lilium and target scaling our technologies over multiple platforms with larger form factors to serve the entire segment of regional electric aviation. Lilium will continue to push boundaries with new programs and innovations that will reduce costs to our customers and passengers and will ultimately lead into fully software-driven and connected autonomous aircraft. Our ambition is to cut trip times to a fraction of what they are today, opening up a new level of connectivity for societies around the planet. I am delighted that we were able to attract Klaus Röwe as our new CEO. This brings us an unparalleled execution capability, as Tom has just laid out, and allows me in my new role to fully focus on the innovative future of the company. It makes Lilium an ideal blend of aerospace know-how and innovation. Over to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Daniel. We also want to highlight the significant program, aircraft design, certification, and customer traction we've achieved this year. We've conducted a successful preliminary design review, which is a meaningful milestone in aircraft development. It confirms the Lilium jet can meet the targeted technical and commercial requirements while meeting the certification standards set by regulators. We're now moving to the industrialization phase of the program. We've started sharing detailed design data and contracting with additional major Tier 1 aerospace suppliers, such as Denso, Aeronova, and Honeywell. The next phase leads us to assembly of our conforming aircraft in 2023, prior to our final flight test campaign. In a critical achievement, our chosen battery cell technology has been secured, and the performance needed for our mission profiles has been independently verified. Initial production of these cells has commenced at our partner, Custom Cells. In addition, we're making meaningful progress with EASA, whose approach has been constructive. In 2020, we achieved the certification basis milestone CRI A01, the equivalent of the FAA G1. In 2022, we aim to conclude the full agreement of the certification program with EASA, which includes means of compliance, the equivalent of the FAA G2. Flight activity in Spain has significantly increased, and we marked a historic achievement with main wing transition last week. On the heels of our NetJets and 4-passenger club cabin announcements, we're seeing significant interest from the premium segment. This confirms that our spacious cabin and proprietary jet propulsion are uniquely suited for the premium segment. In summary, all of these achievements combine to confirm that our chosen Lilium jet design is capable of achieving the required mission profiles and business plan while meeting certification standards. Before handing it over to my colleagues Alistair and Eve, who will share more details, let me give you a brief financial update. Given the macro environment, we continue to maintain and increase our tight budgetary control. The total cash spend of $67 million in Q1 2022 was lower than the previous Q4 2021 spend of $73 million. Our liquidity as of March 31st stood at $331 million. We're closely monitoring the effects of the conflict in Europe, COVID, and general economic factors on our business and planning, but we expect the total cash spend in Q2 2022 to be broadly in line with the Q1 total cash spend. The planned advance of our development program through the detailed design and industrialization phase is expected to lead to increased spending and supplier contracting for the latter half of 2022, which will result in a moderate rise in total cash spending in Q3 and Q4 2022 as planned. Having said that, we expect the full year total cash spend to be approximately $265 million. In June of this year, Lilium established an equity line of credit, an ELOC facility, with Tumen Stone Capital. The facility will enable Lilium to sell an aggregate amount of up to $75 million in new Lilium Class A ordinary shares to Tumen. The ELOC allows us to leverage the liquidity in our stock while giving us flexibility around issuance timing to minimize dilution. With that, I'll hand it over to Alistair, who will update you on the aircraft's refined design.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning and afternoon to everyone. I'm glad to be joining you all today. After a rigorous preliminary design review with the involvement of external aerospace experts, former chief engineers and program heads of major aircraft programs, we have converged on an optimum Lilium jet design. We are confident we have a truly disruptive platform that provides the basis of a product family with a larger addressable market and better customer experience than more traditional designs, and which we believe can be profitably built at scale. Let me walk you through the design improvements agreed. On landing gear, we made the decision to add a traditional landing gear, giving pilots the backup option of a short-running landing alongside a standard vertical landing. At any point prior to starting the vertical landing, sufficient energy reserves remain for the aircraft to divert to an alternate landing site and perform a short-running landing. The much lower power demand of this running landing allows more battery cell energy to be accessed than would otherwise be possible with a higher powered vertical landing. Integrating forward landing capability therefore gives our customers additional reassurance of safety, flexibility, and operating range. On fuselage aerodynamics, to save on weight without compromising on cabin volume and passenger comfort, we've optimised the fuselage shape. By reducing redundant space, we'll be able to decrease the overall fuselage length. This reduces material and weight, while still offering outstanding comfort in the premium 4-passenger club cabin or the 6-passenger shuttle configuration, and allows for a future cargo variant. On electric jet engines, with a 10% increase in engine diameter, we were able to reduce the number of engines from 36 to 30, with now 9 on each main wing and 6 on each of the forward canard wings. This modification will simplify design and reduce weight and cost, while providing even greater flight stability. The modification also enables us to accommodate more acoustic damping in the jet ducts. Also, we're really pleased with our progress on batteries. After evaluating dozens of candidate cells over several years, we've selected a cell technology from Zenlabs that provides optimal power density as well as energy density. The cell delivers the power density required for vertical takeoff and landing and the energy density needed for range of regional missions. Independent testing data confirms this technology is capable of delivering the power and energy necessary for a Lilium jet to achieve 250 kilometers of physical range and approximately 175 kilometers of projected operating range. We believe this cell design is one of the highest performing cells for practical use in eVTOL aircraft in existence today, and it will be exclusive to Lilium for use in regional commercial eVTOL applications. And with this, it's over to Yves, who will tell you about the next phase of the program.
Thank you, Alistair. Thanks to all these design changes, which are aimed at type certification and the ability to profitably scale production, we are now moving towards assembly of the first conforming aircraft, which is due to start in 2023. Recognizing the importance of a productive collaboration with our supply chain, we hosted our first Lilium Supplier Day on March 31st, 2022, where we had 74 current and prospective suppliers coming to our headquarters in Germany. Lilium just announced a major collaboration with Honeywell, our avionics partner and investor, together with the automotive giant Denso, for the co-development and manufacture at scale of the high-performance electric motor system called e-motor. This agreement leverages the two companies' respective aerospace expertise and automotive volume production competence. The innovative e-motor system, on which the companies have been working for nearly 2 years, is expected to bring exceptional performance and reliability with 0 operating emissions. Its air-cooled design has the potential to significantly reduce aircraft operating costs, and it also boasts industry-leading power density, with the first prototype e-motors designed to extract over 100 kilowatts of power from the system weighing just over 40 kilograms. We have also now entered into a long-term supply agreement with leading aerostructure suppliers Airnova to design, manufacture, and provide support for the Lilium Jet's innovative propulsion mounting system, which is a streamlined flat structure for the main wing and canard aerofoil. Built in lightweight materials such as carbon fiber composite materials, the system houses both the engine that powers the aircraft and also the vectoring system that enables vertical and horizontal flight. For battery volume production, custom cells has been selected as our chosen industrial partner to build the cells on the basis of the Zenlabs technology, and initial production of our cells started at custom cells in February 2022. Now, an important point to note is that as batteries and other technologies improve, we plan to upgrade the Lilium Jet's performance continuously, offering significant range and performance upgrades to our customers over time, in line with our vision to scale the aircraft and extend the product family. Lilium also recently signed a collaboration agreement with Livent, one of the largest producers worldwide of lithium products for the battery cell industry. Based upon the agreement, Lilium and Livent will work together on innovative lithium applications for high-performance cells. This collaboration also reflects Lilium's strong positioning with one of the major suppliers of responsibly sourced lithium. And with that, it's back to Alistair, who will tell you about the certification progress and our flight testing with Phoenix 2.
Thanks, Yves. Lilium is closely cooperating with its primary airworthiness authority, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA, to progress towards certification. The EASA approach is proving highly constructive. The EASA certification basis is especially designed for small eVTOL aircraft. Lilium received its EASA certification basis in 2020. It's the equivalent of the FAA G1. Lilium has already come a step closer to its next important EASA milestone, which represents the equivalent of the FAA G2. We aim to reach this by the end of 2022. Lilium is pursuing concurrent validation of the aircraft with the FAA under the provisions of the bilateral aviation safety agreement between the US and the EU. In addition, Lilium successfully completed its second design organisation approval audit with the EASA. Lilium is seeking now to shift the schedule forwards. The third DAO audit is planned for later this year. On May the 25th, Lilium hosted a high-level delegation from EASA at Lilium's facility in southern Germany to see the progress Lilium is making with certification, organisation, and our engineering, testing, and manufacturing facilities. Which leads me nicely into flight testing. We're delighted to say that we've achieved transition on the main wing. Transition is the important and technically challenging phase behind the vertical lift phase and the highly efficient wing-borne flight phase. Let's just relish that moment one more time. If we can see the video, please.
Lift off. Flight is mode active. Accelerate 70, 10 degrees left. Stable, 2, 3. Let it go. Decelerating, descent 10 degrees left. 10 degrees left. Descent. Descending. Reducing speed. Position is good today. Descending. Touchdown. Ground mode active.
So our engineering teams were hugely thrilled to see the demonstrator aircraft's exceptionally smooth and stable behaviour in achieving this goal. The successful main wing transition is a massive validation of our flight physics models and our overall technology approach. We believe this represents the first successful transition of a full-scale electric jet aircraft from hover to wing-borne flight in history. Our Phoenix 2 demonstrator is successfully performing the predefined flight plan in Spain. Having completed the first phase in April this year with flights at up to 50 knots, the aircraft has increased speed to 70 knots and doubled the number of flights per week. The Phoenix 2 flight test campaign delivers important validation of the Lilium jet design. At a technical level, the results of the demonstrator flights confirm the accuracy of our computational fluid dynamics, and the data we have gained also through our wind tunnel testing. More broadly, these flights demonstrate in a real-world environment the viability, efficiency, and revolutionary potential of our architecture. With that, I'll now hand you back to Daniel, who will now summarise and give a short outlook.
Thanks, Alistair. As described by my colleagues, Lilium has made significant progress this year in advancing the aircraft development as planned. We've successfully conducted our PDR, and we are now moving to the industrialization with our supply chain partners together. As an outcome, we have demonstrated that our unique Lilium jet architecture is on track to achieve the targeted performance for our launch customers while meeting the agreed certification standards of our authorities. Our technology has also been validated by functional testing and most recently by the historic transition flight that we just saw in the video. Importantly, we have independently validated that our high-performance battery cell technology achieves the energy and power requirements of our target mission. Lilium has filed over 70 patents, and recently 37 of them were published by the European Patent Office. Innovation will continue to be a central focus for Lilium and for myself personally. My passion as an aerospace engineer is to keep Lilium on the cutting edge of technology, and my new role will give me the space to do that. So what is next? Going forward, we will introduce our new CEO, Klaus Röwe, to all of you, our stakeholders, investors, and analysts. Now that COVID is hopefully behind us, we would like to invite you to visit our Munich headquarters and our flight test center that you just saw in the video in Spain. Please get in touch if this is of interest. Later this fall, we will be hosting a live Capital Markets Day, and we will now be sharing detailed design data with our suppliers as part of the industrialization phase of the program. And as mentioned earlier, our aim is to agree the full certification program with EASA by the end of this year. This is the equivalent of an FAA G2. We'll continue flight testing as ever, and we'll be conducting high-speed flights above 100 knots in the coming weeks and months. Lastly, we would welcome you to join us at Farnborough International Air Show in July, where we will be meeting with the industry. And now let me hand you over again to Jeff, and he will open the floor to your questions.
Thank you, Daniel. So now we have some time to take your questions. Please introduce yourself with your name and company. As a reminder, to ask a question during the session, please press *1 on your telephone. If you're watching the webcast in parallel, please mute the sound of your laptop while you're asking the question. We will now begin the Q&A session.
Thank you. The first question comes from the line of Colin Rush from Oppenheimer. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Can you talk a little bit about the impact of the wing transition with your partners? Has the dynamic changed with those folks and their willingness to partner and invest in incremental resources as they've seen the validation of the technology in that way?
Eve manages many of our suppliers, so Eve, maybe you can take that one.
Yeah, thank you. I think many of our partners were already quite faithful that we would be achieving that. They know the skills of our engineers, so we haven't seen a step change right now. I think what matters more for partners is that as we have completed the preliminary design review, we are now sharing more and working more with them in the detailed design phase. So that is very important. And this is what we share with all our existing and potential prospective suppliers when we pull them together here in Munich in March to have our Lilium supplier day. That was specifically to share that momentum and the next phase.
Okay, that's helpful. And then with the engine development program, there's been a lot of discussion around materials in batteries, and I'm curious about how much innovation on the engine you guys are looking at and security supply around some of the critical elements of those engines that you guys are working on right now, and how important the partnerships are in procuring those materials and designing them.
I'll stay on this one, if you may. We are aware of the shortages of materials affecting different elements and potential risk around batteries. So we've been securing with our contracts, of course, with our battery manufacturing. We have been securing our volumes for 2026, but we are also looking beyond our tier one and seeing what is the supply condition. And so that was one of the drivers behind us closing an agreement with Livent, a collaboration agreement with Livent. Livent is a very big supplier of lithium, and we know that lithium is a product which a lot of people consider at risk in terms of supply assurance. And also partnering with Honeywell and Denso, you can imagine that these companies have the size and the leverage which is beyond the one that Lilium have in the market. So that gives us some fairly good confidence that we are able to weather the supply chain disruptions.
Okay, I'll take the rest offline. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. The next question comes from the line of Alex Porter from Piper Sandler. Please go ahead.
Perfect. Thanks very much. So one question I had was on the battery cell chemistry. Obviously, you're focusing a lot on energy density. It's important to range, and there's power density, which is important for the takeoff and the landing. I guess I'm interested in how you're getting comfort around cycle life and the longevity of the cells themselves, particularly in sort of real-world applications where you have some external factors, say vibration or other things that might be difficult to simulate in a laboratory environment. I'm interested in how you're getting comfort around particularly those cell longevity and cycle life topics.
I can. You want me to take that one, Esther? I can go ahead and please continue.
Yeah, please.
I think one of the important aspects is that we were sharing with our sales technology potential suppliers a very clear set of requirements, which included not only the energy density and the power density, but some of the qualifiers for us were cycle life and also the speed of charging. So that was one of the criteria for us that came into play when we selected the Zenlabs technology. We will continue to work with Zenlabs to continue to improve that, but the first indication in terms of aging are very satisfactory. And to your point, we have different ways to test aging, and you can do the 1C charge discharge rate, which is usual when people publish data, most notably for the automotive industry. The testing activities that we're performing now are really matching closer half-life profiles, so we want to get more clarity, and we see some good indications so far.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Also, one other sort of maybe technical question. You mentioned this short-running landing functionality, which you added. I'm interested in knowing if that was something that you had planned on adding all along, or was it something that you added based on feedback either from regulators or from prospective partners? Maybe it was something that you added because energy density maybe wasn't what you thought it would be for the battery. Just any other sort of rationale behind why you added that functionality would be interesting.
Can I take that one? Yeah, relatively. I mean, it's something that's always got potential, and I think as you get more and more into the detailed design and you understand the implications of designing an aircraft for that capability, it doesn't. You don't have to deviate very far from where we previously were. So it just gives us more flexibility. Now, what it brings, obviously, we do get access to more energy within the cell as a direct result of that, because when you're performing such a manoeuvre, it's relatively low in terms of its energy demand. So you can take advantage of that. Certainly, you can ensure no matter which situation you're in, you land with sufficient reserves. So it gives you more comfort, it gives you more capability, it gives you more opportunity. Also, clearly you've got to plan that into your flight planning as well. So we've had a good look through all that. So it's kind of just going through the process and understanding what the capability could be, and then how we want to lock it into the design. And as we've optimised around our frames and structure, we actually saw that there's a relatively minor offset on any weight and such like. So it just seemed like a win-win. As I say, it gives us more flexibility, and ultimately it'll give us more range.
Okay, perfect. And then last one for me, just noticed there wasn't any commentary in the letter on any developments you may be having with regard to infrastructure, site selection, construction, anything related to, I guess, the infrastructure in your initial launch regions would be helpful as well. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I'll take that. We're progressing quite well in Florida, as we've announced. I think we had previously announced a deal with Ferrovial on the infrastructure, and I think at the last call we announced that West Palm Beach International was the first foreign port to receive a permit. They continue to work on the infrastructure on their behalf, and they're continuing permitting. We're also looking at infrastructure sites in Europe and other regions. So I think we'll have more of that to discuss shortly, Alex. But it's progressing. No major new announcements because we have our partners secured, and they're just kind of cranking away at permitting and site selection right now.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Next question comes from the line of Adam Forsyth from Longspur Research. Please go ahead.
Hi there. Just looking at the video, it looked to me like there's some vectoring going on during what looked like the cruise phase of the flight. And I just wonder, is that correct? Or maybe it's just my bad eyesight looking at the video.
Okay, that one, guys. Yeah, Adam, no, that is normal. That's supposed to be anticipated. You'll always get perturbations in the air around, and indeed the flight control laws are designed in a way to cater for that, which means that you'll have a stable flight experience if you're sitting in the cabin. But clearly, if you put the spotlight on, you'll see some minor movements. Not dissimilar actually to a traditional fixed-wing aircraft where you have flexing of the wingtips. If you're sitting in the fuselage looking out, a similar sort of thing, where the aircraft itself adjusts to what's going on around it. But yeah, that's the beauty of the flight test program, where we get the opportunity to see how it behaves. And clearly, going through transition, the biggest, the hardest technical phase that we have in the flight cycle, to see how well the aircraft actually behaved at that point is tremendous. And yeah, it's really good, handling really well. You can see the bank turns, accelerating, climbing, descents. So at this stage we cannot be happy with what we're seeing from the flight test.
Great, good. And I don't have to visit the optician, that's good. Just on the Livent deal, are you going to seek any similar deals on sustainable sourcing of battery materials other than lithium? And related to that, does your silicon anode technology retain a significant graphite content?
Well, I think I'm not going to go into the specifics of the silicon anode and the graphite content. I think that would be too much to disclose. But I can tell you that we continue to work with the supply chain. There is a lot of evolution, as I mentioned. So we have dedicated teams working on different technologies. We are very confident that today Zen technology is really a massive achievement and really sets us apart. But we will continue. Our teams are continuing to look into the new technologies. We all know that people are talking about lithium metal or solid state. So we keep an eye on these ones very actively. And as we have explained, we would want our platform to be able to evolve with time as we can integrate new battery technologies, of course, subject to rigorous qualification and certification of the program. So, more to come.
Great, got it.
Great,
thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the next question comes from the line of David Zazula from Barclays. Please go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my question. I just first circling back to the battery range you guys are quoting is a little different than what you had been quoting, call it 6-9 months ago. Just can you maybe talk a little bit about the drivers behind this change and whether you feel like this current iteration of the technology is going to allow you to really leverage the advantages of the just-in-time design?
Shall I take that one?
Sure.